Hi, we're at Callaway headquarters in Chessington, and I'm with Matt Judd, Callaway fitting expert. He's going to talk to us a little bit about gapping, particularly at the top end of the bag. So, Matt, if we presume that we've already got a fitting in place where we have a driver and a set of irons,
yep.
I just wanted to give me an idea of where you would start fitting an average player into his fairwoods and hybrids.
Okay.
See what I'd end up with.
Yeah, the simple way for us to do that is the first question to ask is where do you struggle? What's the iron in the bag that you feel comfortable hitting, and where do you start to not feel quite so comfortable? Is it your 3 iron, is it your 4 iron? And once you've established that with the player, then you can start to look at, do I go hybrid? Do I fairway wood? And again, you have to look at the type of player you've got there. If they're a descending strike, if they're very good with their irons, you're probably going to go more towards the hybrid sort of end of the bag. If they're more of a sweeper, potentially maybe a slightly slower clubhead speed player or an older player, you're going to start looking at the higher lofted woods. So again, it's getting a good feel for where they start to struggle. So if they start to struggle at their 4 iron, then we could look to replace that with a 4 hybrid if they come down onto it, or a 9 wood if they sweep.
Okay.
And then once we've established that, we can then look to see what ones do we put into the bag.
Okay, I guess the first question to ask is, are you guys finding that a 5 iron is the limit for most people, or a 4 iron is, and at that point, is it the case that the iron doesn't go any further than the last one, and therefore there's no point in carrying it?
Absolutely, yeah. We tend to find that most players will be around that 5 iron where they are quite comfortable, and then what you'll find is that the actual distance between irons gets smaller. So almost as you said, they're playing the 4 iron and 5 iron the same sort of distance, and so there what we're looking for is to make sure we get that gapping back up to the distance required between each golf club. Traditionally 10 yards, but more importantly about 8 yards between each golf club.
So for most people, a 5 iron is probably the longest iron they should carry?
For most people we'll see through here, average player, yeah, 5 iron would be tops.
So a 5 iron has what, 27, 28 degrees of loft?
Exactly, so then you're looking to go to the number 4 hybrid that's going to be carrying 24 degrees, or as I said, a 9 wood at the same loft.
And a hybrid might go slightly further than an iron of the corresponding loft.
Absolutely.
Can you explain why that should be?
2 reasons. First of all, the club head on the hybrid is bigger, it's more forgiving, so you actually get more power off that. But also, in respect to the length of the iron, it's a slightly longer shaft. And again, the slightly longer shaft generates a little bit more club head speed. Okay. So you just get a little bit more distance potential out of that style of golf club over an iron.
And I guess it's just easy to use as well.
It's so easy to use from anywhere on that golf course.
Okay, so let's presume that we've got a guy, the longest iron is going to carry is a 5.
Yeah.
And let's presume that he's a digger for the sake of argument, so he's quite steep.
Yeah.
So how are you going to look to fill the gap then between his driver and his 5 iron?
For me there, we'd be going straight away to a 4 hybrid, just to again increase that distance. If he's slightly down into it, 3 hybrid, 4 hybrid, he'll probably get the same sort of distance potential out of that 3 hybrid he would do out of a 5 wood. And for that type of player, you may just go 3 hybrid. He hits that probably quite a long way straight into a driver. You may not need to worry about a fairway wood for this type of guy.
And just talk a little bit about very strong hybrids, because we know that the strongest loft might be what, 17 or 18 degrees.
Yeah, for us we have an 18 in the RAZR Tour. That's our strongest.
And is that quite a specialist piece of equipment then, or is that something that you would recommend to an average player, depending on characteristics?
Again, depending on the sort of player, but we have in the past, and I have done recently, recommended some players that maybe have that slightly descending strike and don't worry about it going so right. Then that's a very good hybrid for them.
Mm-hmm.
You know, say downwards, descending strike, clip it, and nice low loft. It'll go a long way for them.
Okay. And then let's say you've got the guy who tends to be happy with a fairway wood rather than a hybrid, and he tends to be a sweeper. So again, let's say he's finishing his irons at 5. Just talk me through how you build the rest of his setup above that.
Absolutely. Yeah. This year we've introduced the RAZR X Black fairway woods, which actually give us the option to go from 3 wood right the way through to 9 wood, including a 4 wood. So we can utilise that style of golf club there to really maximise the number of woods that he can use. And if he's stopping at that 5, 9 wood, 7 wood, 5 wood, and again depending on how he gets on with that 5 wood, do we go 3 wood or just go straight into the driver? And depending on what loft the driver we've recommended them as well. And
do you often find that players will hit a 5 wood every bit as far as a 3 wood?
That can happen, yeah. Again, a little bit more loft on the club, a little bit of a shorter shaft. It's just an easier club to utilise, and they can see them going just as far as 3 woods. Yeah. And again, if that's the case, then we'll go with the clubs that will benefit them most.
And what would you say to somebody who has never actually had a hybrid in their bag yet, so they've always been fairway woods and long irons, what changes would they expect to see, and why should they be at least trying a hybrid?
They should definitely at least try it, purely for the consistency, for the ease of use. You know, the game's hard enough as it is, so if you are struggling with those longer clubs, get one of those hybrids in the bag, because it's bigger, it's more forgiving, it's more powerful, and it just helps with that gapping, hit those longer clubs a little bit further.
Yeah, so the message is no long irons, try some hybrids, try some fairway woods, you can see the results.